president is saying could be right if properly situated within the context of existing reality in Nigeria. What I want to say, we know that judiciary is the last hope of common man. But the question is, how would a common man afford the payment of services that will be rendered by the judiciary? So you find out that it may not be in honest disposition, that it may not be a true position, a true reflection of the existing reality on the ground. In the sense that the common man will find it very difficult to do what? To access judiciary services.
Okay, let's come to you, Dr. Peter. What do you think about this statement? What does Tinubu's statement imply about the current state of our judiciary?
Well, there's a difference between the way things are supposed to be and the way things are. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was talking about the way things are supposed to be, but it's not the way things are in Nigeria. We know that justice in Nigeria is for the highest bidder. Justice in Nigeria is based on who gave the appointment, who gave the nomination. Understand? So what you're talking about is the way things are supposed to be, not the way things are. Because in Nigeria, during the 2023 presidential appeal hearing, I had a woman in the appeal court saying, we are going to counter their argument. A judge in the appeal court saying that they are going to counter their argument. And you now wonder, did this woman go to law school at all? Because somebody in year one in law knows that what judges do is to evaluate presentations, arguments. Understand? It is either the defendant or the prosecutor that counters arguments. Then when a judge begins to counter arguments, there's no hope for the judiciary. And that's where we are. I was shocked. It was even a woman that said, we are going to counter their argument. So you now wonder, how can you get justice with that mindset? So for me, this is just a presentation made. Maybe somebody else wrote that script. Maybe it came from AI. Understand? It sounds nice, it sounds wonderful, but that's not the reality in our country. A poor man cannot afford justice in Nigeria. How much do you think that it takes to file a case? Hire a counsel. So justice in Nigeria is not for the poor people. It is not for the weak. It is not for the voiceless. It's for the powerful.
So what's the hope of the poor, the weak, and the voiceless in our nation today?
Stay off trouble. Stay off trouble.
Okay, let's move on. What would you say has affected our judicial system?
Corruption.
As it is today?
Corruption.
Okay.
When we were growing up in the 80s, you don't see judges anywhere. You see them only in the court. I'm aware of one judge in Nsukka then, understand? In front of his house, he wrote, visitors are not allowed. That's an inscription in front of his house. Visitors are not allowed. So, which means you don't have to come to him either to beg him or to bribe him. They are in a world of their own. But today you see judges going to birthdays, going to house warming, house opening, going to Owembe, judges printing complimentary cards. There are two professions where you don't print complimentary cards: medicine, profession, because medical doctors are not allowed to advertise. So you have no need to print complimentary card. Judges are peculiar people. Understand? When you give somebody a complimentary card, what does it mean? Call me. But because of the kind of service that judges render, they don't need you calling them. You only see them in the court, not in their house. That's when judges have respect in the country. Not now that you see them everywhere. Understand? Not now you see them. So it is corruption that that has become the bane of our judiciary.
Okay, I don't know if our virtual guest is still with us. Can you still hear me, Dr. Dennis? Okay, we'll hope to connect with him during the show. Okay, let me come back to you, Dr. Peter. You know, of course, you already mentioned that corruption is one of the things that affected our judicial system. But how do you think, you know, we've had cases of contradictory court orders. And we've even seen a case of PDP. You know, that's like the very fresh case where one party is saying one day, one court is saying, another court is saying this. But how do contradictory court orders affect our democracy today?
Well, contradictory court orders are not just the judges, because judges don't file cases. It is lawyers that file cases.
Yes, I know.
So lawyers have been leading judges into temptation, but judges have been unable to deliver themselves from evil. Understand? So, because if one court issues that a judgment, and lawyers knowing that what you have to do is to vacate that judgment, you go and file a case in another court of the same category. Understand? High court, understand? So it is not the judge that filed this case. It is a lawyer, counsel to a politician, counsel to a political party. And some judges may have that confidence to say, you don't have to waste the time of the court. But it's not everybody that does that. And again, some big politicians are interested in that case. An instance, the issue of a PDP case in Oyo, the judge, A.A. Akintona, knows that the governor who appointed him is interested in the case. Therefore, he has to give a judgment in favor of PDP, that's his own faction, that the convention should go on. But knowing fully well that what he's doing is wrong. Because what ought to have done is to go and vacate the judgment that Justice James Omotocho gave in Abuja. And the only way to do that is to go to an appeal court, which is higher than a high court. But because of corruption, understand, because of who they owe their appointment to, they do the wrong thing.
Okay, how do you think our judiciary can function without compromise?
Well, this is just talk, and not that it will change. Understand? Because it is not going to change anything.
Why? You don't believe in our judiciary? You don't believe in reforms, or you don't believe that our judiciary can become better?
Excuse me. Before change will happen to anybody, to the life of anybody, that person will change. Will first of all change. Understand? So bring any reform to somebody with a mindset. The reform cannot work. So what we are talking about is just like the speech, the beautiful speech that Tinubu sent. So let me just say something beautiful, and not that it will work. The issue is this: the symbol of justice is a woman that's whose eyes are tied. That simply means that justice does not recognize who you are. Understand? Justice does not see anybody. What it sees is evidence before it. And again, there's a balance there. That shows that judgment is determined by who has more arguments. It swings to the side of the person with a weightier argument. But this is not what is in practice. What is in practice is the highest bidder and who appointed me. So until we change our mindset, which I'm not seeing it happening very soon, what is happening now will continue to happen.
Okay, we know we've had cases of, alleged bribery of judges. I want to use alleged because, I have to use alleged. But, what are the reforms that we can actually propose that will be necessary to ensure that our justice, as our judges, are inaccessible to bribery?
One, just like as I said before, going back to the 1980s method, judges should stop exposing themselves to the public, because in the 80s it was not happening. Once you begin that to make friends, they will always be coming to you to do one thing or the other. They should stop exposing themselves that to people. Understand? And again, there should be an evaluation of the person before he is being appointed a judge. Understand? What is his character? Does he have integrity? Does he have the ability to say no? Understand? Before somebody should be appointed a judge, they ought to have gone through his secondary school days and university school days to examine his conduct, his character, to know whether he would be able to exercise the function of a judge. Because, understand me? Because from judge we get justice. So that is it.
Okay, and before I move on to the next conversation, our virtual guest is back online. Dr. Dennis, let's allow you way into the discussion that as the topic of the judges. Of course, I'm sure you were still with us when I read the script. So President Tinubu has asked our judges to ensure that they are non-partisan, they work with integrity. What do you think, what would you say, what reforms can be put in place to ensure that our judges actually do the work and actually work with integrity?
Well, it has to be maybe on three premises. One, institutional changes. Two, behavioral changes. And then, remuneration financial. Because how much our judges are being paid, how far are they being accommodated, how far are they being insulated or removed from the crunches of the executive powers? Is the judiciary really independent? That is the word. If they are independent, who controls their finances? So the judiciary needs to be independent. And then there was a time this debate building houses for the judges. Who builds the house? Because he who pays the piper dictates the tune. And that is the point. If once the judiciary is not independent, the judiciary may be forced to compromise. So I'm advocating that we should liberate the judiciary from the caprices of the executive dictating or paying, or what do I call it, the salaries and the remunerations of the judges. They should be on their own. They should have their own allocation. The Judiciary Service Commission should be on its own and then be able to accommodate the interests of the judges. I think that is the point. Once they are not independent, then once they are not financially independent, they will be politically and socially dependent on the executive powers. And of course, as I said earlier, the three arms of government should be, there must be, most of it says there must be separation of powers. And once powers are separated, be it financial autonomy and then political dependence or political independence, then much will be achieved. For now, I think we are just laying foundation for just gathering, ceremonial gathering to just entertain the people. So the president should do as much as possible to liberate the judiciary from the crunches of executive interference on their finances and meddling on decisions of the judiciary. I think that's the point.
Okay, let's move on to the next conversation we have tonight. The faction of the People's Democratic Party, loyal to the Federal Capital Territories Minister, Nyesom Wike, has rejected Saturday's expulsion of prominent party leaders at a convention in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Also, former federal lawmaker Dachung Bagos has condemned the expulsion of Nyesom Wike, Ayodele Fayose, and 9 other senior party members, declaring that it was carried out without due process. Speaking in an interview, Bagos argued that disciplinary actions lacked a proper committee structure and were instead decided by a mere voice vote, a process likened to taking actions at a market square. Bagos went on to warn that such hasty measures could deepen the crisis within the party, stressing that due process must guide any house cleaning. He added that unless those expelled are accorded fair treatment, there's little hope for reconciliation. He bluntly stated that he doesn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let me come to you, Dr. Peter. You know, we've really talked about PDP for a very long time here. First, do you agree with Bagos that, okay, first, let me ask you, do you think that this expulsion is just, just the best thing that PDP could have done to themselves? That's one. And then secondly, do you think that, what's your take about what Bagos is saying, that this expulsion did not follow due process?
Okay, about a year ago on a radio program, I said that Nigerians will hear someday that Wike has been expelled or suspended, but that they shouldn't take it serious, that it is part of the script that they have written. Understand? That it is part of the script that they have written. So we are going from scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. So nobody should be deceived. All of them are working together for one man. Understand? Those that expelled and those that were expelled and those that expelled others are working together. Understand? So what they want to do is to deceive Nigerians. Understand? So it is a script. Understand me? Now, if you watch, that's on Friday. No, that's I was here on Friday with Chukwumokoro, and I say that the jamboree, the convention in Ibadan will be a jamboree because INEC will not attend. Understand? Because INEC will not attend, and any convention that INEC did not attend will be illegal, that's not and void. Understand? But that the convention will go on. Understand? Okay, imagine the person that emerged as national chairman of PDP, Turaki. Turaki was suspended by his ward, Nasarawa Ward 1 in Kebbi State, for anti-party activities. He worked for APC during the election in 2023. Do you understand that? And his ward suspended him. His suspension letter was signed by the chairman of Kebbi State PDP. Up till now, they have not withdrawn that suspension. So, and that is why Kebbi State delegates boycotted the Ibadan convention. So it is somebody who was suspended for working for APC that emerged as national chairman of PDP. What does that tell you? So both Bode George, Nyesom Wike, Ayo Fayose, Seyi Makinde, all of them are working for the same man. Understand?
Okay, let's hear your view. Let's hear your view, Dr. Dennis. Do you also buy this idea that, or do you also buy Dr. Peter's opinion that all of this is a script that has been written out, and we're just seeing them acting it out? Or would you say that the expulsion? Would you actually applaud the expulsion by the PDP?
Well, if what we have seen or what we have read from the social media, you will see a lot of comments for or and against, and majority is for. And if you recall what the legend Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe said, that best of the same feather flock together. And if you remember that a song of what do you call it, Dolly Parton, the coat of many colors that her mother sewed for her, you will see the conglomerates of different values, different opinions, different behaviors, different character, and even attitude towards molding the political culture in Nigeria of party politics. Some of us that witnessed the life and time and political sagacity of late Akinloye, yes, the MPN powerful chairman, he made it decisively that the party is the supreme being in any democracy. And Dr. Mbadiwe made it clear that the party should exhibit the attitude of at least showing that is in power. More importantly, that the party in power should also allow what? The opposition to exist. And that's why MPN at that time was able to exist. So the question is, who is fanning the famba of disintegration or the decision of some of these opposition parties? And now, in terms of in area of journalism, we said the fifth columnist. I think there is a fifth columnist in the wheel or in the functioning of opposition parties in the country. I think that's what people are saying. I think that's what people are clamoring. And I think those people are saying, can we remove the hand of Esau from the system so that we know whose hand is working? So whether they're expelled or whether they are returned, the important thing is that the expulsion didn't come even on time. You can't belong to a political party and you can never serve two masters at the same time. I think that's a very fundamental point. You either hate one or you love the other one. So the earlier they have done it, let them be firm and be able to start to rebuilding their party. I think that's the point I want to make. Okay, there is Esau's hand, and there is a fifth columnist operating. So let them remove the fifth columnist, let them remove Esau's hands, and then be able to repackage their party, and then be able to move forward as party or in opposition. Okay,
let me ask you, do you really think this expulsion will stand? Totally knowing how weak it can be, and of course, we already know how it is in the party. We already know, like Dr. Peter pointed out, that even the chairman of the party was suspended at one point for the same anti-party activities. But do you think that this expulsion, and of course, you know that the convention was against the court ruling, even though the party members who held the convention would say that they were actually going in line with the court ruling that asked them to do it. But we know that a court ruling had come out to say on that same day that they should not have the convention, they should hold the convention. But do you think that this expulsion, do you see it actually as in really working? Do you think it's going to work?
My question is, which court injunction are you depending on? Which court injunction are you relying on? If the party has said that they have done the convention, why not allow them to exhibit what they have done? Why not allow them to oscillate within the ambit of what they have done? And then the other question is, who is powerful? What makes somebody powerful? And what makes somebody unruly? And I think that's the question we need to address. Is somebody ruling against the party? Is somebody going against the constitution of his party? and you allow that person to still remain in the power, then it means that you are blowing hot and cold. And hot and cold blowing in the politics will not allow us to democracy to progress. I think that's the issue. If the PDP has taken a decision to expel those people, then they have been expelled. What the PDP needs to do is to consolidate on what they have done and then be able to move forward. I think that's the point. You can't be blowing hot and cold, and nobody is more powerful. The issue of political demagogue in Nigeria has ruined Nigerian politics. It has ruined Nigerian democracy. This is time for democracy to do what? Show better opportunity for people to come in. I think that's the point.
Okay, because of time, I'll have to let you go at this point because I was actually going to ask a follow-up question, but let me just leave it at that. Sir, can I have your concluding thoughts, please? Before
the issue is this.
Thank you very much. Because I'm facing very adverse weather.
Any convention not covered by INEC is illegal. So INEC did not cover the your PDPM convention. So any candidate that emerges, they will not recognize it. And mind you, both Nyesom Wike, Ayo Fayoshe, and Sheyi Makinde, all of them were in the famous
G5.
infamous G5. Understand? So they are together, just trying to deceive gullible Nigerian. So it is a script that is being written. So
Okay.
nobody should be deceived. But the purpose is to ensure that PDP will not present a strong candidate in 2020.